right, welcome everyone. The link to our slide deck is in the chat if you need that. And we are here for a Canvas PD series that we've started this fall that aligns with our Canvas agreements. So if you've seen our Canvas agreements, we're just walking through all the different levels of that. And your hosts today are my friends Chris Giles, Nicole Carter, and I'm Carrie Cooner, and we are all a part of the digital curriculum team. So we are all TOSAs here to support you with the implementation of Canvas. And Chris is our district Canvas administrator, so he can answer lots of nuts and bolts kinds of questions for you. And he has access to all kinds of secret things with secret codes. Here's kind of what we're doing. I'm introing right now how it's going to work. We are currently recording this session so that people can watch it at a more convenient time. And we're going to be talking about a specific topic, which is navigation for students in Canvas. And then after that, we will have some Q&A. First, on this topic, so we'll stay specifically on navigation, and then we'll stop the recording once we've exhausted those questions, and then it's just an open Q&A. If there are other Canvas related questions that you have, we're happy to answer those too. We just want to make the video as concise as possible, so we'll stick to those questions first. And if you have been participating in this, we have, this is a new series that we're trying. We have 3 different levels. The discovery level, create, and the exploration level will be beginning in 2021, which isn't that far away. So we are actually on navigation. This is episode 3 of level 1, navigation for students in Canvas. And that is hot linked right there if you want to jump right to today's slide, which is slide number 12. And all of these classes are in Teacher Source, so you're welcome to go hop around to different levels and favorite all of those so that you are seeing all the things that we're sharing. There's lots and lots of things, so they'll all be linked in the Canvas agreements as well. Right now, this is a live demo class, and during this class, you do get the check at the end for Teacher Source, so you can get credit for this. But if you are watching this on a video, what we're going to do is we're going to compile by the very end of this course. There will be one giant course of all the videos that we've done for level 1, and you can watch those and then get credit for it at the end in Teacher Source. So be looking for that when this series is finished.
Okay, so I think I'm going to be starting and talking about the very easy task of getting into your settings on your Canvas course and minimizing the amount of things that students see on their left-hand side navigation. And this is a personal preference, so you really have to kind of walk yourself through, do I want them to have access to this or not? So I'm going to go ahead and open up a Canvas course and just kind of jump in. So when you're in your specific Canvas course, we're going to go into settings, and we're going to come up to this top tab and click on navigation. Now, the only thing you have to think about here is that you're going to just drag and drop items from the top to the bottom, or vice versa, depending on what you want students to be able to access or to see. The home button is something that will just always remain there so that it's easy for students to get back to your main home page within the course that, again, you set up. That's a personal preference, what that looks like, and what they access. For here in the Beaverton School District, we do have a shell course that we'd like to remain, keeping that as your home button or home page, just so that we maintain consistency across the board. But then you have to start asking yourself, well, am I using announcements? Now, one of the things that we notice with announcements is unless kids go in and turn off all notifications, every time you send an announcement in Canvas, you will then send a notification to your students and parents. So that might be something you're just not using. And if it's something you're not using, you're just going to drag and drop it down below. So again, thinking in terms of when I direct instruct my students, when we're in Zoom or in the classroom, and I tell them how to access something, usually a lot of us are using a weekly agenda and having kids click on hopefully internal links, which we're going to talk about a little bit later too. But there might be times where you say, hey guys, just click on assignments on the left-hand side and jump into whatever assignment you might have. Just know that assignments after month 2 are going to be quite large and lengthy. So it could be a big list that kids might have to navigate through. So again, you're having these kind of internal conversations with yourself. Is this something that my kids need to see? Additional ones that you might ask, I actually moved people down below. I didn't necessarily feel like they needed access to the people, but if you're sharing a course maybe with team members, you might want to keep that there so that they can access who has access to the course and change those edit fields or add people to the course. But in the student's case, I don't know if they necessarily need to see that. Chris or Carrie, jump in if you feel like there's anything specific that teachers might need to keep on there. Chris?
I think no, it's fantastic. And I mean, and you're doing a great job of explaining why too. Like, why do I need that, right?
Yeah. And, again, like depending on how you have kids accessing Zoom, for example, if you have, we see many teachers that have just a button on their main homepage that links to their recurring Zoom rooms for that particular class. Maybe you don't have that Zoom on the left-hand side, right? So these are all conversations that you kind of have internally with yourself, dragging and dropping. If I'm not using quizzes, I might remove that. We are asking that people work and create within modules, for example. But that might be another question you ask yourself, like maybe I don't want my kids navigating into the modules themselves and seeing that huge accordion file screen. That might be, developmentally not appropriate for my fourth graders. And so I might move that out of the way. So again, there's all sorts of options. It's kind of one of the deals with Canvas is there's so much personalization that can happen to meet the needs of your classroom that you kind of have to like sit and kind of grapple with it a little bit. It's both good and bad because there's lots of stuff that we can move and change and fix up. But I think that this is a really great option for you to come through and take stuff off. If you don't need kids to access student view, for example, you could drag and drop and move it down. Once you feel like you have your top section looking good, like maybe I don't think my kids need access to rubrics. I don't think they need access to files I might or might not upload. Honestly, that's one I don't really use that often. I'm not referencing Office 365. I'm going to take that out as well. This looks pretty good. I'm going to leave this here. Now, the thing is, you always have to remember with the navigation settings to hit the save button for that to come into effect. And if you're in any of our secondary classrooms, you're going to have to go in and change this for each of your classes. This is not for every course. It's each course individually. Okay. Any other thoughts, friends?
I was just going to mention, if you are middle school or high school, we do want heavily advocating that you remove quizzes, pages, and discussions, and you really just allow modules to live there, and obviously home and grades. And the reason why is because we do want students to not have to sort through different applications like assignments and quizzes and stuff. But I agree with Nicole. If you're thinking you teach fourth grade and you're like, you know what, for my students, this is the best fit. No one's going to come in and tell you to change it because in the end, you are the teacher, you know your best. But for middle school and high school, because you share students among other classes, that is the most consistent approach.
And I guess what we're just kind of saying is when you go into the pages category, for example, and I go here to view all pages, if I'm a student and I then am seeing all of these pages that have been created and I'm now having to, like, this is not developmentally appropriate for students to have to cycle through this. So, that's a great thought to have. I'm going to remove pages, quizzes, whatever. We want you building in modules. Modules are linearly designed. So if you start at the top, you work your way through the bottom, and it might be just easier for kids to navigate. And because it is an accordion style, let me go into modules. In fact, you can teach kids to close up the modules so it's a little bit easier to navigate. But I would think you'd be putting those together within units that you're doing so students can easily get to where they need to go.
Talk about how you'd go about linking. So I hopped in, I'm just editing my my home page here, and one of the options is to link actually the text. So up here when I have the link button, if I go over to the right, there's that tiny little caret, and you have the ability to do external links, so outside of Canvas, or course navigation links, so right inside your course. So if I want to, and this menu used to pop up to the right automatically, and for some of you it may, depending on how your Canvas is currently set up. So if I want to click course links, then I can find, and I think this part is so easy. I want to find the page that is parent resources. Boom, there it is. All I have to do is touch that and it's already linked for me. It doesn't have to be a page. I could link an assignment, a quiz, an announcement, discussion, all different kinds of things, so that it's just so much more native that the kids just touch that and immediately go there. So you can create all kinds of buttons to help with student navigation. The other thing you can link is you can directly link an image. So that would be a button. So if I'm just wanting people to learn about the office, which is important stuff, you can link that right to the image. So if I selected it and I have the little four corners, the little blue squares on the corner, I can also link it to something externally, so outside of Canvas. So I want them to go watch that YouTube video about the office. So now it does that kind of fancy ta-da yellow thing. Now that is currently hot linked. That image is linked. So you could do that with your buttons as well. So making a beautiful agenda or a weekly schedule where it's just listed out what kids need to do next just makes it so much simpler for them, so they're not having to navigate all over the planet to try and figure out what you meant or where you meant for them to go. Another really neat feature to talk about is the redirect feature, and this was a new one to me. I think all these little things on the menu over here are fabulous, but I didn't realize you could add things yourself. So if you go under your settings and we have, you have apps. So if you click on the apps up at the top, you have this redirect feature. So I'm just typing in the word redirect and it pulls up this crazy looking little arrow here, this redirect tool. And if I click on that redirect tool, it gives me the ability to add an app. And so if I click add an app, it lets me go ahead and link to something else. So I happen to have right here this Bitmoji classroom that I have in preview mode. So I want my students to be able to visit this Bitmoji classroom because those are the reading things we're going to do for our next unit. So I can go ahead and just paste that address right inside here in this redirect, and I can title it something different. So this happens to be the extreme weather reading room for their next unit for 4th grade. So there we go. I have put the text that I want. I put the link up there. And then I have all of your normal navigation things. I can force it to go outside into a brand new tab, but I think it's pretty slick when it opens right inside of Canvas. It, like, kids stay natively right in Canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot, I'll show it in all these places, but I want it to stay right in Canvas. So I'm going to go ahead and add that app. It tells me up at the top that I have been successful in adding that app. Let's go to my course navigation and see if I in fact did it. Did I do it? Did it appear? That's my dog. Oh, there it is. See, my extreme weather reading room is right there. So it has created right there my own little link to where I wanted my kids to go. So just because I want it prominent, I'm going to put it up at the top, the extreme reading room. I'm going to click save, go back to my home page here. And now my kids, I could put a button or whatever on here as well, but over here in the navigation, now they can go directly to this Bitmoji classroom that I've set up for reading. And you'll notice that because I did have it staying inside of Canvas, not in a separate tab, it's going to open the room right inside of Canvas. So I stay right within here. The kids can navigate through. They can, I believe it takes them right to an epic book right inside of there, but it keeps me inside of that Canvas shell. I still have all of my same navigation buttons, and it just ends up opening less tabs for kids, which I know my son is a middle schooler and he'll end up with way too many tabs for him to navigate. So that is how you do use that external link.
Awesome. All right, I'm going to finish showing the last section today, which we're going to talk about. And Carrie, just to confirm, you can see my screen, correct? Awesome. Okay, so we showed you how to create navigation links on the left-hand side, showed you how to, if you want to use the redirect tool. Now this is kind of more specific to elementary, but we also have middle school and high school teachers who also like to use the same approach, which is basically, you know, when you think of your elementary template, you were given a button for each course. In some cases, the button just simply went to that module. But there are some elementary teachers who are like, you know what, I really want to use my reading course, because you were given an actual Canvas course for reading and you've given one for math and for science, but you don't want students to have to navigate to those courses. Instead, you would rather the students go to your homeroom page and then just click that button. And when you click this button for reading, it will take them to the reading course. So now my students, whether they know it or not, have actually ended up in the reading course. And I have set up the reading course to be just done in modules only. And so I wanted to show you how that looks and how you can do that. So basically, again, what you don't see in the background is this is the reading course. All of you who are in elementary have a course created for all of your content. And you may not have been using them, but now you might be ready to use those. Well, you can go ahead and link those buttons that exist to those courses. And so what I'm going to do is simply come up to my reading course, and I'm going to highlight that URL to that reading course, and I'm going to copy it. Come back to my homeroom page. I'm going to click on edit. And most of you who have this template or a similar template should have a circle. I think it looks just like this. They look like these circles down below. And so mine template looks a little bit different, but you could click edit, and you could go ahead and make those circles, but I'm using this one for now. So what I'm going to do is I clicked edit, and I want this button here. When my students click on this button, it goes to the reading course. And so what I can do, just like Carrie had shown you a few minutes ago, and once you select it, you'll have those options, image option or link options, or at the very top, it looks like a little chain. I can click on this, and I'm going to say this link is going to go to an external link. It's not going to go to a course inside. So I'm going to choose external link, and I'm going to paste it. And I'm going to hit save. And once I've done that, when my students come to my homeroom page and they click on this button for reading, it will take them to the reading course, which I have set up in modules, because I don't want to have to manage multiple home pages for all those courses. I just want my home page, my homeroom, to be the one with the agenda on it and to drive those instructions there. I just want, when my students are working on work, if they want to go to social studies or math, then I want them to click on that button, and it takes them to that course. And then they can go, oh, well, here's the assignment that I'm working on, and I can go ahead and work on the assignment. I don't want to take the time to show, but just in case you weren't aware of it, I actually did what Carrie had shared, which is basically I made on the left-hand side a link. So if my students are in math, reading, writing, it doesn't matter where they are, they can click on the homeroom button on the left-hand side. It'll take them back to my homeroom page. So that's the linking. Middle school and high school don't typically use those to link to other courses, but the same instructions to linking to assignments or anything else is the same process.
So at this point, if anyone has a question over any of the navigation things in Canvas that we've covered, or other questions about navigation, we'll take those first. And I think you could just go ahead and unmute yourself and
absolutely.
Hi,
I think we're going to stop recording too. So
I just made the switch to having multiple courses, and I have that sort of multiple homepage, but I just want to do the one homepage on my homeroom course. So what do you recommend? Should I put what do you think the simplest way is, I guess, so that the students don't, I've told them all to use, my home course, but what do you think?
I'm happy to answer, but I also want other people to feel free to share as well. So I don't want to be the one.
In elementary school? Are you elementary?
Yeah.
Yeah, Melissa is.
That's what I did. But I had the individual courses, but I didn't really want them to know that I had 4 other courses. I wanted all linked. So I did all that linking that Chris just showed us, but from the home page. So I have like math, and then they click, but I do have a home page there where I kind of lay out the agenda for the week, and now they just know to click on the math link, and it's going to take them to.
Do you feel comfortable sharing, Michelle?
Yeah, sure.
If that's okay with all of you.
I'm kind of curious, Michelle, too. Once they click on the math and enter into the math, how do they get back to the homeroom? Do you have a button for that?
Yeah, I'll show you.
Good.
I can't tell you how much I've learned in the last, and it's not perfect by any means, but okay, so there's my math page, okay? So I made a button just for the beginning of the year, and now here's my, sorry, I'm just trying to read. Here's my home page. So, and then I just did this week where I stopped putting the math in the individual days and the reading and the writing. It was just taking too long. So now I just have a link here, so they can click on writing, for example. And here's my writing page. And it's by week. So here's this week's writing. Here's last week's, and so on. So it's kind of nice because then I can say, oh, remember when we did the organizational map? Can you go back? And they can find it because they have this.
Thank you.
And then they can get back up here, or now they know if they, they just know. They can click on that. It takes me right back to my home page. So, but I do like how you were saying I could put it on the side too, what you were showing. So I may do that next week. Yeah, so that's, I would highly recommend you set up different courses because there's just so much to navigate as we go through the year.
And Michelle, do you have each of your other courses, do you maintain a home page with an agenda on those? So that's where you're doing more of your agenda, is each of those courses. Is that what it is?
Exactly. So like, I have a different slide for the regular day, but I say what we're doing so they know, but this is sort of their anchor place, I guess, is what I'd like to say. So all those other little things we do, Dreambox and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so there's a home page. Here's, for science, we did science today. So they click on that, it takes them to the day. Here was today's lesson, click, do the lesson. Okay, I want to go back, do my math. But they're getting pretty good at, like, with the modules as well, and they're learning along with me. So I know there's ways I could simplify it even more, and that's what I'm finding I'm doing as the year goes on. It's getting easy, like less buttons for them to have to push is really the key. So that's our read aloud. That takes them to the playlist in YouTube. So it's really pretty cool. I quite like Canvas. I must say, I was a little scared at first, but no, yeah. So I can help anybody if they need it. If you're sitting out there as an elementary school teacher, because I know this was very daunting at first.
Thank you, Michelle.
Yeah.
I think I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around about what would be just the easiest way for the students to navigate it.
Yeah, well, I found if they go into modules, like if I look, let's just take a look at, for example, math. I do set up by modules. Everything is a module. So if I'm doing it, it's just a lot. I find for them, it's easier for them to click on the day, like today is Tuesday and this is what we're doing, and it will take them to that lesson. Because if they get into all this,
I love that you say that, Michelle, because I think we really have to be careful and judge our classroom and think about what's developmentally appropriate.
There's no way that they would. I could say go to the data plane module. They're 10.
Yeah.
Right? So these are. I set it up for me because I know it's going to help when I go to grade.
Yeah, and I think if you think about the larger scale of this too, like that's the purpose really behind giving teachers the multiple courses, is eventually if Michelle was doing all of this in just a homeroom, it would be unwieldy. And so I know that we didn't help teachers get to that point quickly, but because we knew this was coming, and so we gave that space, right?
Yeah.
I think the other thing is that redirect tool that I showed.
Yeah.
You could have navigation always there on the far left that said reading, math.
That's what I'm going to do. That's
it
what
could be there as well, so you can access it from wherever you're at. It's always there. You don't have to go to the homeroom necessarily.
Yeah, which I like too, because now they're at that point, like on a day like today, where they're like, oh, I want to do my reading right after my writing, instead of having to go back to the homeroom page.
Right.
Some of them are really proficient at this.
Well, and the beauty of the redirect tool is it fools you into thinking you actually never left, which really you actually didn't leave, but you actually are in the other course. You just aren't seeing that. So that is the beauty of that.
And it is something that you'd have to take a little bit of time to set up, because you'd have to do that and follow the same pattern, I think, to make it easy for students to not even recognize, right? But that you'd have to set that up in each course, the reading course, the math course, etc. Right?
Well, initially when I started the year, I just wanted to think, I just have homeroom. So when they clicked, they would take them to the assignment or to the discussion. And then I thought, well, this is just taking forever, because I'd have to, link the external link. And so then I thought, well, I'll just do the homepage, and then that'll be nice next year because it's all there. I'll be able to see what I did every single week, and the kids can go back. So, but this is like 2 months worth of work. So can you imagine if you had this is just math, look how much, there's no way that they could navigate just one homeroom module page. My kids anyway,
So, Melissa, I'm wondering, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, I'm wondering if the question you're struggling with is, where do I update and organize the agendas and the content? Or is
actually, I prefer to have it in the home room, the main home page.
Right.
But now that I've opened up my other courses, some of the students are like, I'm on the home page and I can't see anything, right? Because it's not the main one that has all the information. So I think I just want to add like some simple buttons there to redirect them back to the main one.
So what I've seen, and maybe somebody's here has done that and shared it, but what I have seen is that other teachers have used the homeroom page, like Michelle kind of showed it. That's where the only agenda lives. Like, here's what we're doing today in math. But what they do is make that link go to that math assignment in that math course. So the students, they're always going to the home page. They don't really know they're going to math. But like Michelle said, if they need to come back to the agenda, they need a quick way of going back there as well. So it kind of combining what Michelle has, and I've seen other teachers use that agenda and just drive it on the homeroom too. So
yeah, thank you so much.
I think if you want other, I'm sure Michelle would be happy to share her email, but Michelle is one, Amy Clay out of Findlay. And then I think Sandra, I'm not going to pronounce her name right, Hoppenrath. She's another teacher who does that combination of those other courses. So we definitely have teachers that you can reach out to. And that's why I love that Michelle's here and had a chance. You asked that question, then she was ready to share. I love it. It's awesome.